What's going on YouTube? Graylan Stewart here again with another video. If you're new to the channel, thanks for joining. I am a virtual wholesaler and an entrepreneur. I love just business ventures in general, and I've been a business owner since 2011, so 10 years now or so. But anyway, this video is, maybe the title is a little over dramatic, scam alert, but at the same time, beware, of the lists. There's a lot of people out there selling lists, and there's a lot of list providers, but there's very few actual data providers. There's a big difference. So why I say scam, just be careful when you're buying lists, to buy them from the right people first of all, but also not just that is, you don't need a list every month or every couple months like a lot of the gurus kind of try to teach you, or list providers want to make you believe. It's just not true. So I would always say just be cautious. I'm still using some of the same lists from 2018. They're going on 3 years old now, and I still get deals from them. So the deal is, if there are gurus out there pushing a certain list company or skip tracing or any of those kind of things, sometimes they have ulterior motives, and it's because maybe they're getting a spiff, or they've got some type of deal where that you get a discount code. If there's a discount code, obviously they're getting a kickback, which is fine. I'm not saying any of that's wrong. I'm just saying, it's not always in your best interest just to listen to a guru just because they say, hey, you got to do this thing here, because sometimes they're getting paid for it, so it makes sense for them to recommend a certain product, if that makes sense, or even to recommend buying more lists. So, but what I will tell you is this, you do need some good solid lists, but at the same time, if you're focusing on a certain area, certain specific geographic area, there's only so many people that you can reach and that you're actually looking for. So, if there's 1 million people in your community, for example, and we're looking for like the 1% or so, there's not a ton of people out there, or maybe you can kind of get more lenient as far as just going after equity only and all those kind of things. But even so, we're typically looking for maybe 1% of the population that would even qualify as a house that we would even try to pursue, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say is, let's just say the numbers, there's 100,000 that are potential for you in your specific market. So if you had all these different lists of different types of lists, divorce, evictions, equity, tired landlords, probate, tax delinquent, all these different things. If you have every list out there and you've got about 100,000 names on that list, then there's probably not a ton more that you can get. So people always, some of the gurus say, well, you need new lists, fresh data and all this stuff, which yes, there's some truth to that, but at the same time is you're still pursuing these same 100,000 people is the bottom line. So you don't need to go buy 100,000 new records, because there's not 100,000 more to buy, first of all. But secondly, there's only a handful of people being added to these different types of criteria that we're looking for, whether it's evictions or tax delinquent, all those kind of things. But really, if you have motivated lists, potential motivated sellers, that list will never change. Technically, it could grow and change a little. Some of them will fall off because they sold, or their situation's different, and others will be added because they have that situation now and they didn't before. So what I'm saying is, typically, that's why one list can last you for a long time. Like I said, I do have some lists that I still have from 2018. And even now, I only buy new lists. Maybe every 6 months, I might buy another list or two. But that's really it. It's just buying the same list I already had, but I'm adding the new ones to that list is really what it is. So it's kind of after you do the initial buy on all those, it's really, you're just kind of adding to the other ones, and you're filtering out the ones you already have because you don't want to double pay for those, and then you're just adding the new ones to those specific lists, and that's really it. So when I say scam alert, beware, because you don't need to buy new lists all the time. And that's what a lot of people are teaching, because yeah, it makes sense. Oh, you got to have new data, but it's just like, just think about this. What all of a sudden makes a seller not motivated anymore? So why would you throw away your old list and get a new one? What happened to those sellers? They're not motivated all of a sudden? Like they don't fit your criteria anymore? It doesn't really make sense to me. Yes, you need fresh data sometimes because you just want to add to the new people that have started. Maybe there's a new divorce going on. Obviously, you want to add to those, or now they're tax delinquent and they never were before. But at the same time, if they were tax delinquent in the past, they're probably tax delinquent now, so that list is still good. Probates obviously is one list that you might want to buy every several months or whatever, because those are always new, right? But at the same time, not all the probates sell all the time, so I'm still getting deals from a 2-year-old probate list too, because everybody's timing is different. That's really what it comes down to in this business. That's why it's important to be consistent in your advertising, consistent in your message, in whatever marketing that you're doing, because timing is everything. You never know when somebody might be ready, and they might just be ready when you call them or direct mail them or text them or Facebook add them, or all these different things. That's why it's important to be consistent and do whatever you do it all the time. So that's why I say scam alert. Buying new lists is kind of a scam. You don't really need a lot of new lists all the time. And also, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, you don't necessarily want to just buy from any list provider, because really there's data providers and there are list providers. There's a difference because there's somebody that actually compiles this data, okay? Someone who actually makes it all up. That's the people that you actually want to buy it from, not the resellers. Because if it's a reseller, for example, if you bought a list from a reseller, you might say, okay, I want 90210 in Hollywood, California or whatever. I want these specific people that have, 50% equity and their age is 55 and older and all that. So you want this specific list, and you go to this list provider and they say, hey, sure, I have that data. I've got this list because 15 other people I've sold that list to in the last year or so. So I'll sell it to you too. So what I'm saying is, list providers can give you some old lists, because obviously they're not going to go buy a new list from the data provider because they've already bought this list. So why would they just give you a new list when they've already paid for this list that they can get paid on over and over and over? So if that makes sense, a lot of times, yes, it may be good data, but it could be old, outdated, because how often do they refresh their lists? Do they buy new data once a year? Do they buy it every month? All those things are important. So it's good to know those things. And if you don't know, then you should ask. And if they don't know, then you should run, right? Run the other way and find you an actual data provider like CoreLogic. They actually compile their own data, which is part of ListSource, I believe. They actually compile their own data. The county is always the best. I've always said that. If you can get whatever criteria you're looking for directly from your county, that's always going to be the best, because it's straight from the horse's mouth, for lack of a better term. But there's data providers out there and there's list providers. So I would just be cautious of the list providers. Ask the right questions, and a lot of questions, to make sure that the data is legit, to make sure it's up to date. Make sure that 100 other people didn't order that same, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to be the 20th one to get that, 12 months after they first bought it, because then what real good is it? But no matter what, whenever you do have finally the data that you're looking for and the list that you need, there's no reason to buy new lists. Like if you have a list of 100,000 in a particular area, keep that 100,000. They're still motivated 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. Sure, some of them fell off because they sold. Some of them fell off because maybe they died or their circumstances changed and they got out of the mess they were in. And sure, other people have probably added to those lists. So you just refresh your list is what you do. You don't buy new lists. So that's really what the message is about today. Scam alert as far as buying new lists all the time, and also making sure you buy it straight from the people that actually compile the data. And then you should be good to go after that. So keep your list. They're still valuable. The people on there are still motivated. That didn't change. So why would you change your list? Just add to it, refresh it, refine it, and you'll be good and save a ton of money in the meantime. So hopefully this was good information for you. I'd appreciate it if you like it. If you definitely watch the video to this part, hopefully you'll like the video and you'll subscribe, because obviously you like the content if you stuck around this long. So please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in future videos. Thanks a lot. See you later.